Now this is where I left you at the end of the last video. The next step I want to do is to place a camera inside the building and see what we can see with that sort of technique. Now I need to go back to my isometric view and to wireframe because I want to add some windows to this building before we place the camera inside. I'm going to go back to my isometric view, but you notice we're still in perspective. Not a problem. Go to the Change Perspective tool, double click in the window, and there we have it. So now we're in ISO and now we're in wireframe. What I want to do now is to place some more construction lines for the camera location and the target location on the inside of the building. But that is actually quite hard to do. You'll see what I mean. I'm going to start the line tool. And let's say I wanted to place a line as my target in the center of this wall. Well, notice that as I move my cursor around, there are no tentative points being displayed. And that's really because I'm actually trying to make snap points on the roof itself because I'm going through the roof. And the roof is the first thing in the view. That's where my snap points are trying to be made. So what I might try perhaps is to change the snap point. Let's change that to, say, nearest. See what happens. Well, even worse. We can see tentative points, of course, but notice that the roof is highlighted, again, meaning that I'm actually snapping to the roof, not to this wall. So something else needs to be done. And one way around this is to essentially remove the walls and the roof. Leave the floor slab where it is, and then we can place all the lines we want. And the simplest way to do this is to change the levels of both the roof and the walls. Now, right now, my walls and my roof are on a level called text. What I'm going to do is to make a selection set of both of those and the walls as well. And I'm going to change their level. I'm going to put them on walls. That's convenient. So these are all now on the wall level. Now I'm going to go back to Object and back again and turn off walls. So now my walls have gone and my roof has gone. Now I can quite easily go in and make my construction lines. So let's do just that. Place line. Construction is still on. My color is still correct. I'm going to snap to, say, the midpoint here. I need the top rotation. I don't want to come too far in, so just a small distance in, doesn't matter how far. Change that to a vertical, and let's go up about eye level for me, round about 5'8" or so. So there's my camera location. Now let's do a target location. We'll do exactly the same thing. The line's still running. I'll start with the top corner here. That'll do fine. Let's move out a little bit there. Go vertical and place that halfway up the wall, which was around 8 feet or so. Let's type 8 in there and data point. And there's my target location. Now at this point I could bring my walls and my roof back, but I don't want to. I'll leave those off for the moment. Let's use the camera. Data point in the view. Let's pick a wide angle lens again. Follow the prompts. Camera position there. Target position there. Here's my view. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And let's turn walls back on again. So I have my roof and my walls. That might be a little too far. Let's zoom in a little bit further. And let's do a shade. Now, as you can see, it's not particularly exciting. And that's simply because we have no materials attached to the walls and roof and floor. Now, later on, of course, when we get into materials and photorealistic rendering, we'll solve all these problems. And this room will start to look quite nice, actually. Make a save view. Let's call it Interior 1, just to give it a name. Data point in the view to accept the view. And now we have Interior 1. Okay, we'll get rid of that. Now we can go back out again and look at our isometric. So let's do an isometric. Same problem. Wireframe. Now I want to place a window. We'll start with a place block tool. Now I'm going to place a block on the wall here. But as you can probably realize by now, it's pretty hard to place things on solids sometimes. Again, I'm going to change this to nearest. And as I move into the view here, you'll see that I'm activating the walls. My nearest points are on the wall. So I'm going to data point, got to change to a different orientation. There we go. Need to be parallel over the wall. And let's just draw a simple opening like that. So right now it's just a block. We need to make it into an opening, and we need a tool for that. And it is on the Solids toolbox. It is the Cut Solids by Curves tool. Follow the prompts, select the first solid, well, that will be the walls. Then we select the profile, that's that. Note that I'm using the cut direction as both, meaning it will cut right the way across. Cutting right through, there's no cut depth. Select the profile. There's my directional arrows, that's fine. And data point. And now I have two openings in the wall. Let's see how they look. Let's go back to Save Views. This is the one we want, and we want to send it to this view. There we go, back again. Get rid of that. We can use that to reduce the size of the tool settings window. And now we're back in the same view with now two window openings. So that's an important point to keep in mind about the save view. Having made the perspective, if you don't save that view, you'll then lose that perspective and have to do it all over again. A little tinkering is probably required to get an acceptable interior view. So what you might do now for practice, change the position of the camera, change the target point, change the lens types, move things around, start from the other end of the building, etc., etc. Now it's important that you practice this because we will be doing quite a lot of this in later videos. And one final thought, when you locate the camera, please be very careful not to locate it inside a solid. For example, you might move the camera backwards a little bit in this shot, which would place it inside the wall. Well, you can make a view of that, but all you'll see is the inside of the wall. So please avoid that at all costs.